Hi everyone, David here from daviddumaiaudio.com, and in this video I want to share with you guys 4 layering techniques that you can use whenever you are creating sound effects. So of course, layering is, the secret sauce, if you will, to creating some cool and awesome sound design. So yeah, I want to show you guys 4 different ways that you can do layering for your sound design. So let's jump into the project, but if you haven't already, check the description. I always have some sound effects for you guys, including there's a link there if you want to join my email list, and I give away a free sound pack for you guys in there. So check that if you haven't already. All right, let's get into it. All right, so let's start with the first layering technique, and this is going to be no surprise here. It's just going to be your traditional, regular, stacking of different sound effects together. So as you can see here, I just created this cool impact sound, and it sounds like this. Could be like a gun sound or a impact sound or something like that. And it's pretty simple how I created this. You just basically start with one kind of sound effect, which is, this was my bass here. This was my starting point. And then I just added stuff on top of it. So I wanted some clicky sounds, so I added these 2 here. And this one here. So together it sounds like this. So very, very subtle. Next thing I added here, this one. Again, more clicky sounds. Down here I have a metallic sound. So if I listen to everything now, if I take that off. So it's really subtle, but if it's not there, you can hear that it's not there. Something's missing. And then finally, I had this distorted sound. It really adds width and just depth to the sound, I guess. Right, so nothing crazy here happening. This is just your regular way of layering sound effects to make them more enjoyable to listen to, okay? So this is the first way of layering. This is, your traditional, probably stuff you've seen everyone on YouTube doing. The next way that I want to show, though, is what I call single sound source layering. So single source layering. So basically you take one sound source. For this instance, I have this monster growl or grunt. And basically you're using that exact same source, but you're layering it on top of each other, and then you're processing those layers. So what I did is I just took it, I layered it down, and you'll see here, it's not perfectly aligned. Sometimes I will, sometimes I won't. Like you see these bottom 2 are, but the first and the second aren't. It doesn't really matter too much. But yeah, so the first thing I did when I did that is, well, let's just hear what I have. So apart from the volume difference, you'll hear that it sounds a lot fuller, a lot deeper, and that's because I pitched it down. And that's usually when I'm using this kind of layering technique here. I'm using the single source layering whenever I'm trying to add fullness to a sound. If it sounds kind of thin or something, I might just duplicate it and pitch it down, and then to make it sound fuller. And then I did one more time, and then I pitched it down again. So I just copied and pasted the manipulator here. So both of these are the exact same settings. They're just pitched down -13. And then I just added OTT to add some compression to it. So let's listen to this last one here. So now if I play all of them together, it sounds a lot fuller, a lot bigger, a lot better. So this is what we started with. Right, so you're just using the single source layering, you're duplicating it, stacking it on top of each other, and then you're just pitching it down or adding other effects or whatever, depending on whatever you might want or need. And yeah, so this is the second way that I do some layering sometimes. All right, the third way is a little bit more unique, and it takes a bit more setup to get done. This way of doing it is what I call carrier morphing sound design. I don't know if there's actual name for it. It's just what I call it, just so I know what I'm talking about whenever I'm doing it. But let's see what I'm doing here. So the way I set it up is I have massive here, and massive is going to be sending a signal. It's going to be taking the signal from massive, and the envelope from this signal is what's going to be triggering all these sounds at the bottom here. So let me show you guys kind of what I'm talking about, because it's kind of confusing if you're just looking at this. Okay. So all these sounds are right here. These are the sound files. So these are these down here, and these are just random sounds. So if I play it, So here you have the first one here, you have some sizzling sounds. Bottom here, you have some water sounds. Down here, what do we have? Some ambient bell sounds, something like that. Yep. Down here, some more stuff. Some weird drone sounds. Air, low rumble. And down here, I have some kicks, impacts. Okay. There's no kind of rhyme or reason. I kind of picked just random sounds to put in here, and yeah, and just to kind of see what I'm going to come up with. So yeah, there's no kind of rhyme or reason. I just kind of drag and drop sounds in here to see what I would get for my sound design. So the first thing I do is I grab all these sounds, which are right here, and I group them all into a single bus. So that bus for me is right here. And the first thing I do is I activate the sidechain, and I made the sidechain massive. So the signal for massive is activating the sidechain. So this is Snappy, by the way. You can grab this for free. And I'll probably put a link in the description so you guys can get it. It's pretty nice. And all I'm doing here is I'm going to the envelope tab, and then I'm triggering the source is external because I want it to be from massive, which we have up here, right? So it's coming from massive. So now massive, whenever I'm playing a note in massive, it's going to trigger the envelope in here. So let's see what that actually looks like in practice. So if I'm playing a note in massive here, you can see the envelope is going up. That's because I'm playing a note. If I play a lot really fast, then you see it going up and down. So that is what's happening here. I can play with the attack, so it goes up a lot faster, or it takes a bit more time. Anyways, that we can play with more later once we hear the sounds. Obviously, you're not hearing any sounds right now because nothing's playing. I haven't played through any of these sound files. So once that is set up, now what I can do is I can just press play. And I need to make sure I have massive selected here so that I can play it and trigger the envelope. And now I can press play. And as I'm playing, all these sound files will trigger. So let's hear that. Okay, like that. Now, a few things that are happening here. One is that I can change the decay time of the envelope here inside of massive with my fader. So that means that whenever I'm playing a note, it'll last longer. The tail will be a bit longer, or I can make it really short. So if I press play again, I can make the tail longer like that. So it depends on what kind of sound you want. If you want more of a whoosh sound, again, you can make it a little longer attack, whatever. So this is the thing that's great about this is you kind of never know what you're going to get. And if you're working with kind of like block-based samples, like if you're working, let's say you need some ice sounds or whatever, like you can make sure that these are ice sounds, and maybe you want a different kind of texture underneath. Then you can put like bass textures or something, and then what's cool is that as you're playing through the file, you're never getting the same sound. It's always going to be different. So like what I found is if I take off these bell sounds and you play it again, you can get these other cool impacts. Right? And you're never going to get the same thing. And what's also cool is that you can trigger based on what you're seeing here. So let's say you see here, like you want a kick sound. Well, I can make sure that I'm playing a note right before this kick plays so that it actually sounds and it plays. And then what I would normally do is I would route all these sounds into another track down here, and then this would be my recording track. So my track, I didn't set it up, but this would be my recording track. So then whatever I'm playing, it would record down on this bottom track here. So this is the other way. A third way, a carrier morphing that I like to layer because it's cool because you kind of never know what you're going to get, but at the same time you do because you have control over what you're playing and as it's playing through the files, and yeah, you're just basically dragging and dropping files randomly, putting them beside each other. Like there's no rhyme or reason how I did it. I just dropped it. Doesn't matter where they go, where they are. And that's the fun of it, is that you don't know what it's going to sound like. And then you can kind of play and see what you like, see what comes up with it. And the other thing is, because all these sounds are being routed into one group, you can design that group. So let's say I want to have some sort of weird, I don't know what, let's say, let's try like some weird effect on it. And then I can just go in here, let's play. So now all my sounds are going to have this weird effect because I'm having this super massive going through it. Right, so you can create any kind of really cool sound just by adding effects and stuff through these, through the master, through the group bus that these are all getting routed to. Anyways, hope that makes a bit of sense. But yeah, this is the third way that you can do layering. All right, so the fourth technique that I want to show you is just randomizing. It's what I call just randomized layering. There's a lot of different ways to do this. I'll show you guys two ways and two softwares that do this really well. The first one, of course, is S-Layer. And again, all it is you're layering different samples, but it's all being randomized. So here you have 8 samples that the player is choosing from. I put in all these kind of like magical sounds in here. So it's going to choose from these 8 samples based on the position. So here it's going to choose sample 93, as you can see in this top corner up here. This one here would be 25, etc. for all of these. And then it's picking a start time that's random. I actually have it set to 0, so to make sure that they all start at 0, but I could make it random if I wanted to, but I don't think it'll sound good, so I'm going to leave it at that. I'm delaying the start time so that they don't start all at the exact same time. They're a bit kind of scattered, so it just makes the sounds a bit more interesting. Here, of course, you have your pitch. Maybe I could do it like that. Your pan, again, let's make it really wide, and then volume. And then I have all these, again, if you know S-Layer, I have all these orange markers. This means that whenever I play this random button up here, they are going to get randomized. So I'm just going to go through here, check what I have. I'm going to check off the reverse here. All right, and let's hear what we got. Let's try a different one here. So here I have no effects. I think the other one I had effects selected. Yeah. So I'm going to do another one here with no effects on. Right, so you get the idea. You're basically randomizing, so you never know what you're going to get, but you always get something cool eventually. Anyways, usually, I think I've said before, like 30, 70, like 70% of the time I get something really good, and then maybe 30% of the time I don't. Maybe it's like 60, 40, I don't know. But it's really fun, and it's super easy. I mean, you just click a button, and then you listen until you find something that's nice. So yeah, this is the first way of doing it, and then let's go into the second one here. All right, so the second way that I like to do randomized layering is with Soundweaver here. And with Soundweaver, it's kind of similar to S-Layer in that you're layering samples, but here you're not really limited to 8 layers. You can do a lot. Like, look at that, 99. I can do up to 99 layers if you look up here in this corner. So I can add up to 99 layers. So right now I have 3. Let's do like 9, which is a little crazy, but hopefully you get an idea of what it can do. So yeah, so same thing. So I choose a file path, and from that file path, it pulls all these sample files and then just layers them for me. And it layers them at the hit point, at the transient point. So if we listen, like I really didn't have to do anything to line them up. And whenever I press randomize, it's going to pick new samples from that path, from that folder that I just selected. So again, so it's pretty cool because you can select different folders, layer different paths together. So if I wanted to add like a new folder, I can just click in here. Let's see maybe this one. Bam, now I have a new folder. Let's randomize all these. I mean, it's kind of weird. These are just gun and clicking sounds. But anyways, hopefully you get the idea. Like you can basically create any kind of cool sound effects and just randomize them. And it's just really great. Now for these down here that have multiple sound files, this is one sound file. It's just they have multiple files inside of that one file. And what's great is that you can actually shuffle variations like this and just go through them, or click shuffle like this, and then it'll pick a new one. So So it's cool. You always get like a new sound this way. So this is another way that you can do randomized layering. All right, so we've talked about the 4 different ways, different techniques that you can do layering. I just want to quickly go over some of the pros and cons just so you guys are aware of some of the shortcomings of each of these techniques, just so you know what to expect. So for the first one here, the manual layering. This one's really great because it gives you a lot of control. You control individual layers, you can control individual effects, and you can easily tweak them individually. Like it's super easy, you know, whether you're doing a fade in, a fade out, you're dragging the volume to change the volume, or you're adding whatever plugin to change the sound. So they're really easy to control. They're easy to replace. Like let's say you have a layer here you don't like, you know, just mute it, done. You know, it's really quick and easy to do it. And there's a reason why this is kind of your traditional way of layering. It's because, you know, because of that control, and because you can create those higher quality sounds with that control. So that is one of the, those are the advantages of using this kind of technique. But the disadvantage is that it can be time consuming. So it can take a lot of time to you know, drag and drop different sound effects on top of each other until you find the right combination, the right frequency balance, etc., to get the sound that you want. So that is one of the cons of using this technique. All right, for this second technique here, which is the single source layering, I mean, obviously, again, it's quick and easy because all you're doing is, you know, you're duplicating the original sound file. So you're not looking through, you know, folders and folders of sound, or trying to find the right sound to match with whatever you have going. You're just dragging it, you're just copying and pasting the exact same sound and layering on top of each other. So that's really quick and easy. Obviously, the con is that you're never going to have much variety in your sound design. You're never going to change the sound that much because, you know, you're using the same sound source. So, yeah, your sound will never change drastically unless you do a lot of processing. All right, so for this third layering technique, the carrier morphing sound design, a few things about it. So one, the pros, it's easily to control the volume and the envelope of the sound. So if you're looking for more of a whoosh sound, it's really easy to just switch your envelope, whether it's inside of massive here, you can switch the envelope and you know, increase your attack, and then you're done. Now every time you trigger it, you're going to get a more of a whoosh sound, like a slow attack and a slow release. Or you can also do it inside of the group where I had snap heap. So again, really easy to control the envelope for that. And it's easy to create a variety of different sounds from different sound blocks based on whatever you drop in here. And now, of course, like I mentioned before, because you're routing all these into a group bus, you can add all the sound effects to process these individual sounds together so they sound more unified. So those are really great things, and you can create some cool new sound effects that way. Some of the cons, though, it's a little hit and miss based on what you have. It can be time consuming as well, especially if there's like gaps in your sounds. Like then you have to wait till you get to your next sound effects before you trigger your carrier here. But you can create some really cool sounds. And also, it can take a bit of time to set up initially, but once the setup's done, you're pretty much good to go. So some pros and cons for this one. All right, for the fourth one here, the randomizing. Basically, the pros is you never know what you're going to get, and you always it's nice to be pleasantly surprised. I mean, this can be a pro or con whenever you don't know what you're going to get. But depending on whatever sounds you drop into your sampler here, you kind of have an idea of what you're going to get. But yeah, it's nice because you're usually getting sounds that you would have never thought of doing, and you're getting them a lot faster than if you had to layer them manually before. So it's very quick to generate new sounds. Some of the cons, though, is that a lot of the sounds can start to get kind of samey. They start to sound very similar, which is kind of annoying. Yeah, so that's one thing to take into consideration. And like I mentioned before, of course, it can take some time to get some good usable sounds or usable results based on because you're just randomizing. You never know what you're going to get. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it, though, for these. All right, so that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you guys found it useful and valuable. I'm actually curious to know if you guys use any of these techniques that I've mentioned. Obviously, I'm sure most people use the layering, the manual layering, but if there are other techniques that you guys use that maybe I didn't mention, I'd love to know what you guys do for sound design, so leave it in the comments below. And just a reminder to grab those free sound packs, free sound effects in the description. And I think that's it for this video. If you guys want to know more about different sound design layering techniques, I actually made a video where I used like 2 S layers together to create like these cool sounds. Oh, anyways, I'll probably put it in the card up here or something, or in the description. But yeah, anyways, I think that's it for this video. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.